Today is just a dream come true. So, if you haven't noticed, I actually am a fan of American Girl. When I was growing up, I would read the American Girl books at the library. I would buy used copies at the library book sales. I would read about them on the bookmobile, and I would buy the books whenever I had enough allowance money. But I never actually got to have any of the dolls because they are amazeballs, fantastically expensive. And this is the first time ever that I can say I have an American Girl doll. I would read as many of the books as I could get my hands on, but my favorite American Girl of all was Addie. So this is a dream come true. My friend Stacy, she sent me Addie and a little Addie doll, and she didn't even tell me that she was going to do this. Just out of the blue, she surprised me. And oh my God, it's a dream come true. Addie was my favorite of all the American Girl books, and don't get me wrong, all of them have like their own struggles and such. Each story is pretty inspiring. Like, for example, you've got Kirsten, one of the first American girls. She's also the first immigrant American girl. She came from Sweden to America. You've got Felicity, who had to deal with growing up during the Revolutionary War. There's Josefina, and then you've got Molly, who dealt with World War II. You've got Samantha, and you've got Samantha's friend, who's super poor. But Addie was the most inspiring to me. Addie was the reason why I got really interested in studying history. And that's actually why my mom got me into American Girl books, was because she wanted me to have a healthy appreciation for history and do some studying outside of school. And Addie's story was what made me want to study more about American history. And Addie was also inspiring to me because, just like Addie, my family came from slavery. My ancestors came from plantations in Alabama. Her story starts on a plantation in North Carolina. And I know some of you naysayers out there are like, what do you mean your family came from a plantation? You're light as hell, right? Well, I got a race card. Yeah, there's my grandfather, there's my mom, there's my great-grandpa. I'm not adopted. These are my blood family members, so screw you, racists. Yes, I am actually part black. There you go. That's what I am. And if you don't like it, you can kiss my butt. Addie's story came out around the same time that my great-grandfather, while he was still alive, was giving my mom and my Aunt Stacy, funny, I have a friend named Stacy and an Aunt Stacy, he was giving the family history, and my mom was writing all of this down. And in reading what Addie was going through in escaping slavery and in getting acclimated to life in freedom, and then eventually towards the end of the series getting acclimated, well, actually starting with the second book, getting acclimated to life as a legally free human being, it really helped to bring home what my ancestors went through. It solidified those stories. It made those stories more real. I could grasp onto what my mom was teaching me, what my great-grandpa was teaching me, what my Aunt Stacy was teaching me. So that's why Addie means so much to me. This was like the first series that I grabbed onto that was focused on a child going through slavery, a tween girl dealing with that. Up until this point, I did see Roots. I was a kid, but I did watch Roots as a kid. And I had seen like a few other movies, but none of them that really dealt with the day-to-day life from a tween girl's perspective. This was the first thing I had seen along those lines. So I collected all of the Addy books that originally came out, and there's more now. There's more short stories now. I had the Addy's World book. I did have the cookbook at one point. I'm not sure what happened to it. Great recipes, though. It's actually how I learned how to make fried apples. But I never had the dolls growing up, and today I have the dolls. So this is my first ever American Girl doll, and this is the Addy re-release for the 35th anniversary. I didn't really pay attention to this growing up, but I'm actually like the same age as the American Girl series. It started in 86. I was born in 86. I'm going to be 35 this year. So, you know, it's really neat to think that this series grew up with me in the most literal sense possible. So this is the re-release of the Addy doll. They decided for this year that they were going to re-release the first 6 American Girls. So this is the box that they put her in, and I'm so excited, guys. I've never actually opened an American Girl doll. I've never actually been around an American Girl doll. Like, I've seen them from a distance, but never actually in person. So let's open the box. So it comes with a reprint of the original Meet Addy book. And just for comparison's sake, let's take a look. I have the first edition Meet Addy book, and then this is the reprint. You can tell I've read this a lot because you can see like my pencil markings and my fingerprints on there. I love the American Girl books because along with the fantastic stories, they also have this segment in the back of each book where they put the story into historical context. So they give you like a mini history lesson in the back. Yeah, you can see, like, I tried to take care of my books. I still have the send-away cards for the catalogs. I actually still get the catalogs on occasion. They've slowed down because of printing costs. Yeah, this actually looks exactly like the book. Like, I'm not seeing any... Ooh, well, there's a little artistic change, like... Okay, so yeah, there is, like, a little bit of an artistic change. They changed up the painting from when Addy and her mom escaped slavery. So that's interesting. I'm going to have to go through and see what other changes were made. And, of course, there's going to be some updated history in the back and cleaned up pictures. Yeah, there are some changes there. Let's see what Addy comes with. Okay, so she's got like a little baggie. She's got her cowrie shell necklace with her older brother's cord through it. And then there's a little anniversary booklet in the back celebrating the original Pleasant Company, because originally Pleasant Company made the dolls, and they are now owned by Mattel. So it's really interesting to think that Addy would exist in the same world as Barbie. Wow, that's really neat. Okay, so let's lift this. And there she is, just like the books. Okay, let's get her out of the box so we can see. Okay, so I got her out of her packaging, and I opened up all of the little packages that were inside, and she came with her half dime, which is like the first piece of money she earns in the books, and it's like a real metal coin. Feels pretty heavy. That's a half dime. It's so shiny that it doesn't really like show up in the camera. We'll put that in her little envelope there. She comes with a kerchief. This is what she would carry a luncheon in. So instead of like a lunch box or a lunch bag, you would put your belongings and your lunch and such in there, and then you would just tie it up. And she has a water gourd, because remember, they didn't have thermoses back then, so they would hollow out a gourd. She comes with a very long cowrie shell necklace, which is very smooth. And the first book even mentions that it's smooth like soap, which it very much feels that way. It's tied with a long leather cord. In the books, the cord comes from her older brother Sam's boot. Her mother takes the cord from his boot after he's sold and makes a necklace out of it and makes it long so that Addie can grow into it. Her eyes open and close. And now that I get to touch an American Girl doll for the first time, I can tell you this is not like the other dolls you see in the stores. Like most dolls you see in the stores, they don't really move their arms very much. It's just like up and down, and that's kind of it. She can actually move like side to side. She's got hip joints. And she's actually a little more flexible than other dolls that are like this. I never knew that. Like, they never tell you that in the catalogs. But she's like a really well-built doll. Her hair has sort of like brown highlights when you see her in person. They call it textured black or textured brown hair on the website and in the old catalogs, but it's like black and dark brown mix, which is really cool because when I was a kid, my hair was like that. There weren't very many dolls that had hair that had the coloring that my hair does. She has a blue ribbon in the back of her hair. And she's got hoop earrings. And I have a little mini-me for her. So let's get this one out of the box and see what she's like. So here's the little Addie doll. And she came with a little tiny book. This is from the Be Forever book series. There's a larger version of this book, of course. The Be Forever books, they are a rewrite of these older books with the same author. And there's also a line of short stories that kind of follow along after those books. So it's like a partial retelling, not really like a reboot, but kind of like a retelling, a new adaptation of the originals. And then there's new stories that they pepper in with other books. So Addie's story continues. And then with the little dolls, they have painted on eyes. And they're full plastic. The full-bodied versions have like a cloth body in the middle, and then plastic arms and legs, but this one is like full plastic. I do like the little dress that they gave her. Look at that. That is a really cute dress. I like the black piping and the bright blues. And here she's got her hair in this nice crisscross braid. And you can see a little bit better what I was just talking about, how her hair is like black and dark brown mixed together. And what's really neat about having them both is that it's kind of like Addie has her own doll, but it's also kind of like Addie has a mini-me. In the books, she has a baby sister named Esther, so it's like there's the big sister and there's a little sister. That's really cool. I am so grateful that my friends sent me these dolls. I never got to experience this growing up. And like I said before, Addie means the absolute most to me out of all of the American Girls. So right now, I am living a childhood dream. Addie's books, if you haven't read them, they are pretty plentiful. You can find a lot of them at your local library, and there's reprints that you can get on Amazon, and the official American Girl website actually had them up for like a free digital download. I downloaded them all over, of course. So if you haven't had a chance to read the books, I highly encourage you to give them a chance. It's a really deep story. It's pretty adult and mature for something that was aimed at little girls. I also encourage you to share the stories with your kids, because it was how I got into American history, and it's a good head start into the genre. And I am just so grateful that my friends sent me these dolls, and I'm so happy to have them in my collection. And thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you soon.